Monday, I hate Blue Monday. Got to work like a slave all day. Here come Tuesday.
It is the Savage Nation, and boy, did that phrase ever have as much meaning as it is today. You have to work like a slave all day. Of course, you work. Thanks, Fats. I appreciate it. Taxes, taxes, taxes. Certainty. In this world, nothing is certain but death and taxes. I'm talking about taxes because the people who listen to this show, I would say, if you did it demographically, I would say a very large percentage of people who listen to the Savage Nation and talk radio in general are taxpayers, not tax consumers. In other words, deadbeat bums. Tax consumers. There's two types of Americas. There's two types of Americans. There are the taxpayers, you and I, and the tax consumers, the grifters, the bums, who take from us. Now, as you know, Tuesday is the deadline for filing federal income taxes. Half of American taxpayers will pay 97% of the individual income taxes the government will collect for this year. Okay? The other half of Americans will pay little or nothing in taxes, yet will continue to receive billions of your dollars in benefits in the form of subsidies, free services, cash, and other benefits and loans. So there are two Americans and two Americas, not the rich and the poor, not the black and the white, but taxpayers and tax consumers. And if a Democrat should win the White House, it's going to get tougher for you, the listener of the Savage Nation, the taxpayer. And so we're going to talk about the two Americas today on the Savage Nation. And you want to hear something interesting? We try to find out the demographic breakdown of the taxpayer versus the tax consumer by race. Doesn't exist. By ethnicity, doesn't exist. By immigrant status, doesn't exist. Do you know why it doesn't exist? Because your friends in the federal government who tabulate everything else according to race and ethnicity will not tabulate what percent of the population is paying taxes and what percent of various ethnic groups, that is, are using your taxes while contributing little or nothing. Isn't it odd that they will calculate what percent of various crimes are caused by white people, what percent of this hate crimes, blah, 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 but the IRS will not give us information as to what ethnic group contributes the most taxes? Now, I have a suspicion I know the answer to that one, which is why they will not do it. Because if you would ever find out that you're actually a slave class, you're liable to revolt against the takers, since you're the contributors. Did you hear what I said earlier? There are two Americas, the taxpayer and the tax consumer. 50% of American taxpayers will pay 97% of the individual income taxes the government will collect for 2008. The other 50% will pay little or nothing in tax, yet will receive billions of dollars in benefits in the form of you-know-what. In the form of you-know-what? Well, you know what? Public transportation, public roads, public utilities, public schools. What else are they getting? Welfare, free medical care, free legal care. Now, that means that there's a burden on you, the taxpayer, the productive members of society, who already work over half of your day, 50% of your day, 4 hours out of your 8-hour workday, to pay your federal, state, and local income taxes, sales taxes, excise taxes, tariffs, and fees. Did you hear me? But what about the illegal immigrants? Aren't they paying their fair share, for example? Or is this immigrant bashing when I tell you they're not? But I'll give you another quote about taxes. It was one of the top-ranking originators of communism in the last century, whether it was Lenin or Marx, who said that communism will succeed through one means only: taxes, taxes, and more taxes. So when you hear Barbara Boxer or any of the other far-left Democrats calling for higher taxes, you are hearing the naked communist. Remember, you don't know this, but last week the anti-global warming cap-and-trade system, anti-global warming, you see what they're using it for now? To rob you again. But who proposed it? Senator Joseph Lieberman, Connecticut, independent Democrat, and John Warner, Virginia, will require $1.3 trillion in new tax revenues over 10 years. For global warming? It's thievery. You know that. You know it very well. And it's going to get worse. Senator Barbara Boxer, Democrat, Brooklyn, on the Senate Environment and Public Works Committee said Lieberman Warner is merely a good starting point. She wants even more money. And what is it going to go for? More government, I can guarantee you. So there it is. Today is the day of taxes. 2 Americas. We cannot get the data ethnically or any other way on who the taxpayers are and the tax consumers. My suspicion is I know who they are, though. Who do you think pays more taxes in this country? Well, let's put it another way so it's a little more sensitive. Which ethnic group, proportionate to their numbers, is a larger taxpayer than tax consumer? My guess is the white people. The white people are the patsies of the United States of America, blamed for everything bad and stolen from by the government to pay for those who frankly come here not to work but to take. That's my opinion. Prove me wrong. Get me the data that proves me wrong. Who do you think are more likely to be dependent on Social Security benefits for most or all of their retirement income? Elderly white Americans or elderly African American folks? African American retirees are more likely than whites to rely on Social Security as their only income in old age. It's the sole source of retirement income for 40% of elderly African Americans, according to the Cato Institute, a libertarian think tank. And so every time I hear whites being bashed, I can't take it anymore, to be honest with you. I feel as though I'm carrying the whole society on my back. I have paid through affirmative action. I have paid through higher taxation. I have paid through the nose, and I'm sick of it, to be honest with you. And frankly, nobody is speaking out for me. Tell me who speaks for me in this country. Tell me who represents me, the taxpayer, who's paid through affirmative action, through welfare, through this, through that, high taxation to support everybody on the earth. Tell me who speaks for me. John McCain? How come John McCain won't talk about taxation? How come no one will even ask any of them about taxation? Have you heard one conversation about taxation yet amongst all of these idiots in the media, in all of their so-called debates and interviews? I haven't.